In the ancient Near East, a family from Bethlehem traveled to the foreign land of Moab to escape a famine. Instead of finding relief, the patriarch, Elimelech, and his 2 adult sons died. This left behind 3 widows, Elimelech's wife, Naomi, and her 2 Moabite daughters-in-law. Surviving as a widow in this patriarchal society was a brutal economic reality. Without a living husband or sons, a woman had no legal standing to own land, no source of income, and 0 social safety net. Her husband's family lineage was effectively erased from the public record. Facing total ruin, Naomi urges her daughters-in-law to abandon her and find new husbands in their home country. She renames herself Mara, a word meaning bitter, declaring that the Almighty has brought her back completely empty. Enduring grief was only part of the crisis. Survival in this era required male protection and land ownership, both of which Naomi had permanently lost. Given the choice to leave, one daughter-in-law, Orpah, returns to her family, but the other, Ruth, makes a radical, self-sacrificial vow. She refuses to leave Naomi's side, declaring, "Your people shall be my people, and your God my God." Ruth leaves her homeland behind and travels to Bethlehem with Naomi, but absolute devotion does not magically solve their legal or financial destitution. They arrive with no money, no property, and no legal protection. To keep them from starving, Ruth resorts to grueling physical labor. She spends her days in the fields gleaning, stripping leftover barley stalks in the hot sun behind the main harvesters, just to secure a single ephah of grain for their daily meal. Hard labor and loyalty are keeping them breathing day to day, but rescuing their family's future and pulling them out of poverty requires a structural, legal intervention. The field where Ruth gathers grain belongs to a man named Boaz. He is a wealthy landowner, but more importantly, he is a relative of Naomi's late husband. Under ancient Hebrew law, this blood relation gives Boaz a specific legal status known as the Goel, or kinsman redeemer. This position carries binding institutional duties designed to protect extended family members who have fallen into poverty. This flowchart illustrates the redeemer's first primary duty. Here is Naomi's severed branch of the family tree. Because they share a bloodline, Boaz holds the legal right to buy back or redeem the land Naomi is being forced to sell, keeping the property within the family's control. The second and third duties are deeply tied to the land. The redeemer is expected to marry the widow of his deceased relative. By conceiving a new heir, they ensure that the dead man's name is legally preserved on his own inheritance. Boaz holds the exact legal authority required to reverse Naomi's tragedy. His status as kinsman redeemer makes him their primary hope for institutional survival. Knowing this, Naomi initiates a bold legal strategy. She instructs Ruth to go to the threshing floor at night, uncover Boaz's feet, and ask him to spread the corner of his garment over her, a cultural petition formally requesting he act as her kinsman redeemer. Boaz is highly receptive to Ruth's loyalty and agrees to help, but he strictly follows legal protocol, and he reveals a massive bureaucratic roadblock. There is another living relative who sits closer in the bloodline than he does. This legal technicality is terrifying for the women. The closer relative holds the right of first refusal. Their fate is suddenly in the hands of a complete stranger who may not be willing to take on their massive financial and social liabilities. The very next morning, Boaz convenes a formal legal gathering. He meets the closer relative at the city gate, gathers 10 local elders as witnesses, and publicly offers the man his rightful option to redeem Naomi's land. The unnamed relative immediately agrees to buy the valuable real estate, but Boaz then presents the legal caveat. Buying the field requires marrying Ruth the Moabitess to preserve the dead husband's lineage. Hearing this, the closer relative backs out entirely, stating that the financial strain of another family would mar his own inheritance. To finalize the transfer of rights, they employ an ancient legal custom. The closer relative removes his sandal and gives it to Boaz. This physical act serves as a binding public confirmation of his refusal. With the transaction complete, Boaz officially purchases all the land belonging to Elimelech. Simultaneously, he takes Ruth as his wife, explicitly stating his purpose is to raise up the name of the dead upon his inheritance. The family is saved. This rescue is achieved through the meticulous, honorable execution of an ancient bureaucratic process. The immediate result of this legal settlement is highly personal. Ruth and Boaz marry, and they soon conceive a son named Obed. Naomi, the woman who demanded to be called bitter and empty, is now cradling her new grandson against her chest, officially acting as his nurse. The women of the city gather to celebrate. They declare that the child is a restorer of life, and they tell Naomi that Ruth's profound loyalty has proven to be better to thee than 7 sons. The micro-level crisis is perfectly resolved. The family line is legally preserved, the property is secured for the future, and Naomi's total despair has been turned into blessing. The narrative credits the birth of this child to divine intervention, explicitly stating that the Lord gave her conception. This marks a shift from the immediate family's needs to the macro-historical impact of the lineage. This lineage chart shows the broader historical outcome. From Ruth and Boaz comes Obed. Obed goes on to become the father of Jesse, and Jesse becomes the father of King David. An obscure property law and a foreign widow's daily struggle for survival in a Bethlehem barley field unwittingly laid the genealogical foundation for Israel's greatest royal dynasty.